I'm here in beautiful Genoa, right?
Yep, Genoa.
Genoa, Utah. First time here. It's a beautiful place. And I am here with Chelsea, and Chelsea Jones, and she is a horse chiropractor.
Correct, yep.
And I've got the opportunity and chance to shadow her, look at what she's been doing, see all the different techniques, and we're going to be showing clips interspersed through this about different techniques that she's done. But more importantly, we're going to talk about her business and how she grows and what she's doing. Yep. So this is the second part of the series of working with people.
Awesome.
So Chelsea, tell me a bit about what you do.
So as you said, I'm a horse chiropractor, or just in general an animal chiropractor, but I do see lots of horses. So I'm a mobile chiropractor. It's a little bit of a different business plan, as we've kind of chatted about. So I essentially schedule people at their barns, at their houses, and I just drive directly to them. And I kind of cluster book, kind of like you saw today. In one area, I'll have a couple of stops for horses, and then they just line up however many horses they need, go through an exam and adjustment for each horse, and then go on to the next area. And I just do that from St. George to Logan, see everybody that needs it.
That's a huge amount of area.
It's a huge area.
Yeah. And you also, on top of this, are a mother and a wife. And so that keeps you very busy.
Very busy.
One of the cool things I noticed about you is that you have a personal relationship with everyone that we met.
Yes.
You have a very good following. People like you. They call you back. You are, in their mind, the only horse chiropractor that they have. They're not searching for anyone else.
Right.
How did you develop that relationship with them?
Honestly, it's one of those things like in school, I heard people all the time of like, once I'm out, I'm Dr. So-and-so and people better call me doctor. And it was, in my mind, it felt like it was all about them. And so I just, from the get-go, I was like, I don't want that to be my motto. Like it's about who I'm servicing, and everyone I meet, I grew up rodeoing. And so it's like, horse people, those are my people. It's just when I'm coming out, they're family. They're friends and family. They're not a client or a patient. And that's just how I treat people. We have a relationship. Even if you saw I was adjusting the kiddos after the horses.
Yes.
Even if I'm not adjusting the family members, it's like I'm still asking the kids how they're doing. I want to know their family because they're important to me. And I want them to feel that. And I feel like that goes far in them rescheduling. So it is good business-wise, but I try to be genuine that they know I actually care about them.
Yeah.
I want them to know that.
Yeah, it's bedside manner is what I've seen is one of the most important things.
Yes.
I've read a lot of articles, and one of the most interesting article I read was talking about sue rates when it comes to doctors.
Right.
Do you know what the leading indicator of a doctor is going to be sued?
Probably their bedside manner.
Bedside manner. To the point where I had a friend of mine, he was a professor that was teaching me anatomy physiology. They had accidentally stitched up hemostats after a heart surgery inside the chest.
Yeah.
And they were able to negotiate and talk to this person all the way through, even though they were completely liable, no lawsuit.
Yeah.
And there was another gentleman that was in that same, another doctor. He got sued. Oh man, it must have been every 3 years he had another lawsuit for the stupidest things.
Yeah.
Because of that communication. So that's huge.
Exactly. Yeah.
So horses are in your blood.
Yes.
It seems like it.
Yes.
And did you always know you wanted to be a horse chiropractor, or?
I did not, actually. So I grew up rodeoing. I competed in breakaway, team roping, bunch of different events through high school. And then as I got to college, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. So I got a bachelor's in health promotion, went on from there, and I worked for a health insurance company.
Oh.
So it was kind of in the health field, but I worked there for a long time, and it was mostly like, I'm out of school, I'm making good money, this is good for now, and I just hated it. So I kind of burnt myself out saying I could stay here. They had really good levels of advancement, but I finally got to the point where I was like, this is not working. And I actually got a new horse myself, and I took her to the animal chiropractor, and I was just watching her work on my horse, and I was like, how did you get here? And so she told me the laws for Utah. You either have to be a human chiropractor or a veterinarian, and then you certify. And so I just immediately was like, I could do that.
Nice.
That sounds like what I want to do. So I went home and I researched schools, and I found a place in Dallas that did both concurrently. And I was
Veterinarian and chiropractic?
chiropractic and then animal chiropractic at the same time.
So what school did you go to, for those that are listening?
Parker University in
So
Dallas.
Parker,
Yep.
gotcha. Parker seems to be innovative with a lot of different fields.
They have a bunch.
modality.
Yeah, they're continually growing, it seems like.
Yeah. That seems like a really good thing. Do you recommend Parker University?
I do. I feel like they're kind of going in a different direction than when I was in school there.
Okay.
So it depends on what your goals are for if I would really recommend them.
Well,
is why I would say that.
for horse chiropractic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they were excellent on the animal side. I loved their program. They set you up for success. So I loved that aspect of it for sure. Yeah.
Gotcha. So one of the things that I know that a lot of colleges and a lot of schools, I don't care if it's dental, I don't care if it's even pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
If they're going in there to learn to be a pharmacist or anything like that, one of the things they don't teach very often is the business side.
Yes.
So did you learn your business side from Parker, or was this School of Hard Knocks?
Kind of School of Hard Knocks. I did a master's, an MBA through Parker as well to try to get more business, but I honestly don't feel like it was very applicable. So yeah, I tried as much as I could. They do offer business classes as part of their curriculum, and it might have changed since I graduated, so I can't say what's currently going on.
Oh, true.
But yeah, when I took it, I felt like they had the basics that they went through, but not, especially in how I did my business. Like, there's nothing that could have prepared me for how to run a business like that.
Now, your business is kind of nomadic.
Yes.
And so I noticed that while you were doing the actual chiropractic visits and everything, afterwards there was the payment.
Yes.
You are going to rural places. Internet is spotty. Spotty. Sorry. People are not very cash based anymore. So how do you do this?
And actually, on the animal side, I get a lot of cash and checks.
Oh, so you do get cash and checks.
Yes, and it's so funny. I have a lot of people that say, "Why would you ever take a check? Like, you really have to trust people." And it goes back to my relationship with them. I've never had a bounce check. I've never had someone not pay me.
So you don't chase collections.
So no. I either get payment right when I'm in the visit.
That's an important thing, because so many people I've talked to, half of their job is just chasing collections. So that's cool.
And that's kind of the thing. I was worried about it when I started, a new business owner. It's like, I need to pay the bills. I need to make sure I'm getting payment. But I take Venmo and credit card. So in my EHR system, when they make an appointment, it asks them to link a credit card. So that's kind of one of those fail-safes built in of I could run a credit card, like if something happened.
Gotcha. You asked that up front. Very
But
good.
I always ask them in the visit what they prefer. So like the gals you saw, they always Venmo me. So I just know how they want to pay, and that's just kind of set up, and then I can send them a receipt. So they have that. But yeah, everyone either pays in the visit, or I've had some like emergent situations. They're very honest of like, I get paid in 5 days. I will send you the payments. And so I say, that's totally fine. I have your credit card on file.
Yeah.
If you don't pay. But I just wait, and then they always send me their payment. Like I said, I've never had someone not pay. So
No, that's good. That's good.
So yeah.
So how do you find new clients? I mean, how do you advertise? One of them mentioned that you were doing Facebook ads.
I don't really advertise a lot.
Okay.
I'm a terrible business owner. I don't market. It's mostly word of mouth. And it kind of comes back to bedside manner.
Yeah.
People like to tell you, like, I have this chiropractor, I have an animal chiropractor, you need to use her.
Yeah.
And that's a ton of what I see. When I started, I had like an SEO company that really tried to rank my website.
How did that go?
It was actually really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they were highly recommended. That's why I even tried it. So they helped like set up my website and kind of link keywords. And then their biggest suggestion was Google reviews.
Yeah.
So I worked really hard. My goal was to get up to 50 because they were like, as many as you can and as often as you can. So that advice was perfect. And I just was very genuine with people after a couple visits. Just, hey, I would love if you would help me grow. Leave a review. And I just had kind of a quick link. I would text them.
Good.
And they would leave me reviews. And so I have a ton of people that they Google, they find my website, they start reading reviews, and then they call. And And that's the first thing they say is, we read your reviews, we really want to try it. So a lot of it is honestly just word of mouth and Google. I stopped advertising because I got too busy.
Okay.
Which is a good place to
Yeah.
be, right? So yeah, I don't really advertise anymore. I do post on social media, but I don't run ads or anything. It's just organic. It just
That's the
kind
way
of
to
comes.
do it. That's the way to do it. Because that means that you're going to get those higher quality clients.
Exactly.
You're not going to get the people that are trying to nickel dime you. They're going to try to get the people that are trying to figure out, well, where's the deal? If I,
Yep.
it's the fourth horse free, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yes, for sure. And that's kind of what I saw too, is along the way I would kind of get in business and networking groups where I would ask people what their advice was. And that was kind of the biggest thing of like, if you can get word of mouth, it's going to take a while to grow organically, but if you can get there, it will help you grow like tenfold. So
Definitely.
it was so
So how
good.
many years do you think it took you to kind of get that escalation?
About the first 2 years, which is what I heard from everybody.
Yeah.
Give it 2 years, give it 2 years. So I'd say about 2 years in is when I was finally like, things were rolling. I didn't worry anymore. I was super booked. So I would tell everyone, wait 2 years. Just keep at it, because that's
Yeah.
about what it took me.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So with your family dynamic,
Yeah.
you said that your husband works during the days and then you go out and you do this during the nights
Yep.
and everything else. How do you deal with work-life balance? I mean, how do you choose when you're going to be gone and everything else?
Honestly, a lot of it is just checking the schedule over and over. Just trying to see what would work. Like this evening, I had 3 stops, but it was for multiples in a stop.
Yeah.
So that cuts down on travel time. So I kind of gauge it. I kind of mentioned to you, like I started at 4. So
Yes.
I'm starting a little bit earlier. And then I essentially watch how long it's going to take for, like I had this many horses, this many kiddos. And I just kind of taper that in my mind of like, okay, I could be home around 7 or 8. So we still have a couple hours.
Because you need to have that overlap. You need to have that time as a family.
We can still see each other, and I can still stay at home with my son during the day. So I'm seeing him.
Yeah.
So it's mostly the work-life balance, like with my husband and
Yeah.
doing other things. So we still try. I don't do every evening. So there's
Okay.
still at least a night during the week where I'm free. And then the
Good.
weekends, I usually do every other Saturday. Is kind of what I've been working in. So
Now, when you're going to people's homes, do you find that you mentioned nights are better, and
Yeah.
do you find that weekends and holidays are pretty much booked because that way they're there?
yes, lots of weekend appointments. I try to just do several groups at a time because same thing. Everyone's usually available on a Saturday or Friday night.
So how do you
So-
plan out holidays? Do you just move them, or?
I usually try to take most holidays off.
Okay.
Depending on what's going on. I'd say the biggest one is like Thanksgiving. Everyone wants to be adjusted before the holidays. So I'll usually, like the week of Thanksgiving, I'll work a little bit more, especially like Black Friday.
Hey.
People are off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Black Friday deals. I mean, why not?
like that's just something I've noticed as a pattern that comes up the week of Thanksgiving, because everyone's like, we're super busy during December, but we
Yeah.
want to get adjusted so that we're feeling good.
Yeah.
So that week just seems busy.
So that means you also have a seasonality.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
these rushes and then these drops. And,
Correct,
And,
yeah.
and probably winter's your slow month.
Yes. And I definitely, about now, like March, April, it starts to ramp up. And then I'm usually very booked out all summer, especially with the horses. And then around like September, October, it starts to slow down. And then around like December, January is my slower, which is kind of nice because I can take a break.
Yes.
So it works out. I kind of burn myself out all summer,
Burn yourself out.
and then I take a break, and then it just comes around full circle.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool.
So, yeah.
So they also mentioned that you do cats and dogs and
I do, yep. All sorts of small animals, rabbits.
Rabbits?
Lizards, whatever you can think of.
Really?
Yeah.
How often have you done lizards? That's a
Only once. I only had one because I was seeing the family on the human side. And they
Yeah.
said, we have, what's it called? A bearded dragon?
yes.
Yes.
So a big lizard.
So, yeah. And I was like, okay, we can work on it. So, yeah, it was only one. I don't advertise. then I see them all the time. But, yeah.
So is the approach to all animals the same? If you're doing a horse, is the same as doing a cat, which is the same as doing a human?
It's pretty similar. I kind of have my systems of analysis, of adjustments. On the animal side, I definitely go off their specific anatomy, just different vertebra, different things going on. So like with the lizard, I, before the visit, looked up and made sure I knew exactly what was going on anatomically. But yeah, otherwise I adjust the same, kind of going through head to toe or head to tail.
Yeah.
So I'm very thorough, whether it's people, cats, horses. So I make sure I get everything in.
Well, another thing I really loved about you approaching is that with the horses, they're there holding the horse, they're doing retaining.
Yeah.
You're talking to them the entire time. You're easing their fears. You have a great bedside manner in that regard, talking about how they approach. No, I'm serious. I've watched a lot of people. You're really good. And you're just intuitive of knowing how to bring up what it is, both the emotional side of what they need versus what the practicality is.
Yeah.
The other thing you recommend is different stretches, different things like that. Could you talk about some of the treatments that they do at home?
Oh, of course, yeah. So typically human or animal, but since we were seeing horses tonight, I'll kind of draw in, I have a note system that attaches YouTube links that show all of the exercises. So they'll go through treat stretches, especially with horses and dogs, and essentially they just follow a treat and they'll go kind of side to side, up and down, moving their neck and kind of getting it into their full back. Those are really good. I'll always recommend looking like side to side if they have disproportions, kind of getting them to flex under saddle, things like that, just to really get them to open up. Especially like with dogs, I'll do a lot of like weight transfer type exercises, really get them to use either one leg or one side at a time. A lot of times they'll have like a weakness, so that's super helpful. You kind of saw the tail stretching.
Yes.
That's another exercise where you go side to side and it helps the whole hind leg, the stifle area.
Yeah.
And so I'll have them do exercises like that. So each one is different. I have kind of the basics I like to give people that aren't too hard to master.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people get overwhelmed. And then that was one thing when I was first in business, I would recommend exercises and I would show them in the visit and they would forget.
Yeah.
So that's why I moved my note system and I tell them it's in the notes. There's a YouTube link and it will show you everything.
Everything you need to know.
And they love it. They're like, I love that you do that. I can watch it on my own time. I'm not going to forget. So that's worked really well.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I love the intuitiveness of that because it brings it really home.
Yeah.
It brings it that they're a part of the treatment plan.
Exactly.
And because they're a part of it and since they're bought in, they're more often for you to come back as well.
Yes.
You've done a really good job on that.
I'm trying.
No, you're succeeding. You're succeeding. So when you're going and approaching everything, you're coming to a new horse.
Yeah.
Both you're calming the horse down a bit, but you're also doing a lot to calm the owner down.
Yes.
Have you learned language patterns or different things like that to kind of assure them? Do you go into a script or is this just intuitive?
A lot of it is intuitive. I kind of back to the genuineness. I hate scripted things because I just, especially in the horse world, people are judging me. You know, I'm trying to judge them and figure out what they need, but they're also trying to figure out, does she know what she's doing? Is she going to communicate?
Yeah.
Am I lost the whole time?
I mean, you mentioned that the horses that are just given to you are usually the bad ones. Is the ones that they're like, oh, this one's got all these problems. It's got this is like, nope, no problem, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I try to ease their fears, and a lot of it is body language. And I try to watch the human's face as much as the animal, because sometimes, like you mentioned, the animal is totally fine. I have some animals where it's like their anxiety is coming from the owner.
Of course.
So I definitely try to read them and see, are they kind of looking at me like they're skeptical? Are there questions? Am I going too fast? Maybe I need to explain more. And that is usually what gives me the good feedback as I tell them, this is the area that's as stiff or is tender. And they kind of put it together, like you saw with Ashley, where she was like, that actually makes sense.
Yes.
This was the side where I was seeing the problem, so this makes sense. So
when I'm coaching people about the language of the mind,
Yeah.
you're trying to get a that's right. And you're
Yes.
very good at doing that because when they say that's right, you know it's going to cement and they're going to follow through.
Right. Yep.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with the horses, you do a ton of actually things that I've gone through chiropractic and I don't know if they're doing it to me, but I don't think so. A lot of cranial sacral stuff.
Yep.
Is that normal for animal chiropractic, or is that something unique to you?
I know there's a few that will do it or will incorporate parts of it. It's unique. I'm currently in a certification right now to learn like really in-depth cranial sacral. So I feel like that's one of those things I would like it to be more unique for me personally.
Gotcha.
So it's more of a full service that you're getting really in-depth chiropractic adjustments, but also really in-depth cranial sacral.
And what are the main benefits of the cranial sacral?
Good question. I'm glad you asked. So a lot of it is on surface level, just relaxation, but kind of deeper integration with like CSF flow around the brain, along the spinal column. And there's a lot of like dural attachments along the spinal column, and it taps into all of that.
Yeah.
So especially the cranial work, everything is moving so minutely. But if you think of even like a foramen in the skull, if there's a nerve or a blood vessel coming through there, any minute change is going to occlude that or change blood pressure.
Yeah,
nerve
I was watching the
conduction.
horse and it physically relaxed.
Yep. So
Yeah.
anything like on a really deep level like that, it really helps their nervous system come back down so they can relax. And it really helps with the adjustments, just helping them essentially each tender area, just helping those really melt away. So
Yeah.
I love to incorporate both of them.
It gives that feeling that, because a lot of it's jarring.
Yeah.
A lot of it's jarring, but it gives that almost a hypnotic state where they come out.
Yeah,
and
that's a good word for it.
and they feel a peace, which often calms down the owners.
Yes. Yep, for sure. They kind of feed off of each other. So
Yeah.
they feel calm.
Yeah. Interesting. So you also been doing young kids as well. Do
Yep.
you also do the parents?
I do. These families specifically, I just see the kiddos.
Gotcha.
But I do adults, teenagers, babies, any age I can work on. It's
Yeah.
just kind of whatever they need in a barn visit. And I'm very flexible with the families. Sometimes money is an issue, so I rotate family members. So I'll see like
Gotcha.
the parents, and then the next visit I'll see the kiddos. So it's just dependent on what they need.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. And it gives you the ability to practice both and hone in both.
Yes. So, and I love it because there's so many skills for each different aspect that kind of ties over into the next.
So I know you I met you at the Parker seminar.
Yes.
You were doing the continuing educational credits.
Yep.
Do you need to do specific ones for animal chiropractic?
Yes.
So where do you get those credits?
So it's kind of the same as Parker seminars. The certifying organizations, they usually hold conferences yearly, and you can go and get all of your credits either in a weekend or 2 weekends. And it's really good. It's kind of the same. They'll have hands-on, philosophy, science, just different CE credits that they're there for education instead of some of these CEs where you go and they're
They're there for fluff. and
they're
to get
talking about
something done.
nothing. Yes. But yeah, so we're required for CEs as well on the
I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but there's a lot of fluff in these seminars.
Yes.
Speaking of fluff, one of your people that you talked about, you navigated beautifully. She was wanting a laser. She wanted something big. She wanted it because it would make her feel better, that she
Right.
did everything she knew for the horse.
Yep.
And you were talking to her a bit about that you had everything you needed right there.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about the tools you bring and how you do kind of a minimalist style.
Yes. Honestly, just all through chiropractic school, same thing. I went to a lot of seminars and they showed hands-on chiropractic, and then I went to others that showed all the tools. And I just felt like there's a time and place for certain tools. I do have like a cold laser that I'll use, injuries, different things, especially on dogs, just if they need it. But it's not always the case. It kind of comes back to the roots of chiropractic. It's by hand. Yep. So that's what I try to incorporate with people, that if they do need something, I'll let them know. I try to be honest. It's kind of black and white for me.
You are honest. You are honest.
And like you saw with Allie, it's going to be a waste of money in my mind. It's not going to give you these huge benefits that you should invest in a laser or have someone come out. But yeah, I just feel like chiropractic adjustments, that's this is what they're calling me out for, and this is exactly the service I offer.
Yeah.
This is what they need.
But you do have some tools. I mean, you do have the table.
I
You
do have the
have the
table.
bale.
Yep.
The bale is styrofoam.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep,
this
just
is
to
something.
stand on.
This is something new that I've never seen before. So is it
Yes.
just a styrofoam block, or?
Yeah, it's just like that hard commercial styrofoam with a cover and a handle, so I can wheel
Lug
it
it
around.
around.
Yep. So I have that to stand on. I do have 2 of them if I have a really big horse that I need to get really tall. I do have 2, but I usually just carry one, and then I have my portable table, and it can go anywhere with me.
Yeah, because you need a lug. You don't know how far you're going to be hiking with these.
Exactly. And I have had some where they're like, well, we have to park here, and then we're going to be over there. So sometimes it is quite a walk out there.
Which also kind of brings up, and this is why I wanted to talk about your truck.
Yeah.
You have a 4-wheel drive because of what you're needing for that. You have a cover in the back because you want it to keep it somewhat clean.
Yep.
What other features would you look into if you're going to start this that would be essential for you to be successful?
So I feel like this is my ideal setup, kind of like you mentioned with the truck, having something where I have muck boots in the back. Because springtime, I see a lot of barn calls where it's a lake and we're in like a foot of mud. So, yes.
Do you push down, the horse just goes down?
Yes, sometimes. So I would definitely say invest in a good pair of muck boots. And that's kind of why I got the cover on the truck, is I could put the muck boots in the back, keep the mud back there. I've got my table.
Yeah.
So, and then I just have, you saw my backpack. I've got like the laser, the activator for the kiddos, just to use something a little bit softer on their adjustments. And I just have just a couple other things. What else do I have in there? Like the rag to wipe down, keeping things sanitary, just the little tools that will make
things like that.
comfort.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, there's not a lot that you need, but this definitely makes it easier. Like you said, the 4-wheel drive, lots of snow.
Yes.
It needs 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a pretty simple setup, but it gets the job done.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, we're getting about to the 30-minute mark.
Yeah.
I want to respect your time, and also the daylight's starting to go out.
I know, we're getting there.
But I really appreciate you letting me shadow you.
Yeah.
How can people find you? Where can people know where you're at?
Yes.
What are your socials?
So you can find me just Peach Creek Chiropractic, Instagram, Facebook, and then the same for my website. Just Google Peach Creek Chiropractic, and it will pop up my website, and it has lots of info on there if people want to check it out.
And it'll have the best way to contact you there?
Yes, yep.
Good.
My number and everything is on there.
Is that how you prefer people to contact you, is through the number, or do you have a better...
Most people will just text the number on
Okay.
the website, and I have an assistant that she'll usually text back pretty fast, get everyone
Good.
scheduled. Or through the website, you can just do an email. Some people much prefer that. They're busy, we're busy.
Yeah.
So you can also shoot an email, and we can get you scheduled.
Yeah. So I know I try to get very thoughtful questions and everything else. Is there anything I missed that you would like people to know about you?
I don't think so. I feel like your questions kind of meshed everything together really well.
Oh, thank you. Well, I highly recommend when you get a chance to check out Chelsea's website, find out more about it. You'll see the pictures. You can see that she does an amazing job. And it's going to be good seeing you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.